Okay guys, let's start with today's session, and thank you all for joining. Okay, so I think my screen is visible to you guys. So let's start with the first slice or first question. Okay, so basically we are going to discuss today about your this week's portion, that is mainly comprises of circulatory system, rather we can say. Okay, so let's start with that. Fine. Okay, so you all are much aware of the fact that our circulatory system is comprises mainly of heart and different blood vascular system, right? So basically the questions from this portion is as the portion seems easy, but the questions are not that like there can be very tricky questions can be asked from this session, right? For example, see, circulation is occurring, right? And the entire system is designed in a way that we are not needing with very less energy utilization, efficient blood supply to the entire body system, right? So for this system you will find the the flow, blood flow system, and you will find different maintenance of pressure and all these questions regarding. Apart from this, there are different system which valve is regulating which part of the heart, and all these questions are pretty basics from this section, right? So you most are gonna face such questions for in your examinations. Now yes. Please go ahead. Hmm. Yeah, see, if you'll find open circulatory system, right? Open circulatory system is a pretty basic concept that is not found in how we can define this. In closed circulatory system, it is recycling. Okay, suppose, like, if there is a point, like suppose in our system what is happening. Okay, blood is flowing, right? Blood is getting out from the artery, supplied to all the system. It is utilized. Okay, once it is utilized, it is get depurified, or it's get again the oxygen concentration to the tissue supplies and all, and it get reached with carbon dioxide, and that blood again further coming to the left atrium for again further purification. Okay, so such kind of system is your closed circulatory system, right? In open circulatory system you'll find it's like uh, one way traffic. Okay, in both the cases the homeostasis is maintained. See, in every system, whatever system, it's not like your question is pretty general. I can just blindly say yes, because what homeostasis in such cases we can think of. First of all, maintenance of osmotic balance. Okay, that the blood needed to perform in order to maintain the uh, what we can say, the purification of the tissues and supplements of nutrition. Okay, second, okay, first it need to you need to have the proper management of the tissue. For that purpose osmotic balance is required. The second thing is maintenance of salinity and all. Okay, that is basically uh, the maintenance of salt concentration in the different ionic concentration, ionic gradients, maintenance of ionic gradients. And in both the system, in what only difference is that in open system, it is the system is it is very prior, okay, it is primitive, okay, and the closed system is pretty advanced, where within the system everything is happening, okay. But in open system it is in a way that it has been designed in a way that there is a portion that is only responsible for the purification of blood, but in closed system every part is playing a role in the maintenance of homeostasis. For example, in our system you can't take any part that is not playing a role. See, starting from the atrium, starting from the atrial walls, then you can go to the tissue is also the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide, chlorine and chloride, all these ions. Apart from this, again in the left atrium every part is playing a role. However, in open system you will not find every part playing role. Rather, you will find there is a particular system in a particular positions, for example tough at the interior part, that is only purifying the blood and supplying the pure blood. But homeostasis is a common aspect that will definitely get maintained if you have gone through the open system, right? Yeah. So let me discuss about today's slides. Any you can just go ahead, tell me any questions. Just I'll take in between as well. You can just turn your mic on and tell. Now the next slide is that if you'll find, just a minute, let me. If ever anywhere, like if you ask a question like this, like whether it is doing this, whether it is doing that, think the broader aspect, how it can do this. It's not like that whether it is, because every part is designed in a way that it is performing some role in some system. For example, I'm just giving a generalized way to understand physiology is that, see, we all know that kidney is responsible for glomerular ultrafiltration, right? Now how it is helping in other roles, right? The filtration will play a major role in ionic balance maintenance, osmolarity maintenance. At the same thing which is responsible for the maintaining hydration within our body. If hydration is not there, the oxygen supply to the tissue will be affected. If oxygen supply is affected, then it can cause hypoxia related to cancer, right? You can relate anything to anything, like, okay, in physiology you can't say yes or no. There is always an aspect that must relate it, like you all know kidney. I talk one aspect, how kidney is associated with cancer. Let me discuss in a different way. Now if kidney is malfunctioning or glomerular ultrafiltration is not working, you will find deposition of urea, and all this you all are aware of. Our major excretory part is urea, right? So urea deposition will be there, and that will lead to phenylketonuria and all, okay. That is one aspect, that is one A. Another aspect, if kidney is malfunctioning in terms of osmolarity or maintaining of glomerular ultrafiltration, it will lead to the system you all are aware of, renin, angiotensin and aldosterone system. That will lead to diabetes, okay. So this is how I can you can interpret the same thing is associated with different diseases regulating different pathways, right? So this is the broader aspect of physiology, okay. If you are discussing about brain, it can be related to anything, right? It can be related to liver metabolism, it can be related to hypoxia, it can be related to kidney metabolism. These all things are a network, okay, and anything can. That's why we are not being able to find a particular solution to a particular disease. Even if you will find it is diabetes, we are supply insulin, okay. What insulin do? We are going to counteract the phylogeny, we can say, or we can say the phenetic characters. Like for example, we all know that the diabetes is because of the excess of glucose. So we are trying to control the glucose, we are not dealing with the metabolism, right? The thing will again happen, if you will provide insulin, the person will not get any problems till next 3-4 months, but it's not like that it will we are going to cure, right? So these things happen in this way. So because if we try to understand, figure it out, the basic cause why it is happening, and we are going to cure that, then it is a very short period, even the lifespan of a patient. So try to think physiology from that aspect. Okay. Now let me discuss few questions like which of the following relation is correct of blood flow in circulatory system. Now this question is basically based on liquid flow. Okay, you all are read in 12th physics. So if you'll find there is a broader area, let me talk in two aspects. One is the amount of flow, the volume of flow. One is the area of flow. When the area will be less, the pressure, the velocity will be more. Okay, many of you can just try. You will find a pipe and you can just squeeze the open mouth. Okay, you will find the velocity of the fluid will increase. Okay, this is one aspect, that if area will decrease, because the same amount of water needed to be passed at that particular position. Okay, so if area will decrease, velocity will increase. Okay, that's why area is inversely proportional. And similarly, if volume is more, if there is more amount of liquid, then the velocity will be more. If there is no flow of liquid, no velocity will be there, because there is no flow. If there is volume, there will be velocity, and that's why the velocity is directly proportional to your flow of the volume, and it is inversely proportional to the area, right? Now in blood vessels, what happens when just let me discuss the clinical aspect of this, is that when with ages, what we do, we consume several lipid foods, right? That is LDL, low density lipoprotein, that cannot be digested. Okay, so what they do, they form layers in the blood vessels, and due to that layering, the blood vessels get narrowed down, and due to that, the flow of the velocity of the blood vessel will increase, and if the velocity will increase, it will increase the pressure, and that's why with age you will find more blood pressure, you will find more heart attack. Why? This is because of the narrow down of that blood vessels that will cause the increase in velocity, and due to increase in velocity, you will find the increase in blood pressure and cardiac arrest. Okay, there are many causes. It's not like that I'm confined to this particular point, but this is also one reason. Okay, similarly, if the width of the blood vessels is broader, as you will find in generally in youth ages, as we are not that old, we are not consuming, or if you are diet conscious, you can manage that LDL concentration, and that will make your blood vessels widen open, and that will that can help you to get rid of blood pressures and all these things. Okay, now the next slide is that okay, oh sorry, just a minute guys, current supply gone. Okay, so I can turn my video off. Okay, see, now the thing is that while measuring blood pressure, 122 mm Hg each watt, and yeah, this question is basically systolic and diastolic pressure. Okay, so what is systolic pressure? Okay, so we have in our heart there are two systems. One is left system, that is left atrium, left ventricles, right atrium, right ventricles. Okay, now what happened in the, if you will find in the left side, you will find all the deoxygenated blood comes to the heart, right? Sorry, in the right side. However, in the left, you will find all the purified blood came from the lungs, right? And further, that transferred to all the system in our body, and that is done by arteries. Okay, so the pressure, you just imagine, if we are supposed to supply water to all the plants, okay, we need to squeeze it so that the pressure will be more, so that the blood flow can be quite smooth to all the plants, right? Similarly, the pressure is very much higher, or our heart squeezes to provide the pressure to the blood so that the blood can go to all the individual system, like it can go to the brain, it can go to the kidney, it can go to the liver, right? So for that, our heart need to pump it out with more pressure, and that pressure is basically called your systolic blood pressure. Okay, so the pressure exerted when the blood is ejected into the arteries from the heart, that is called your systolic pressure, and the pressure that is required to pump the blood into the heart, okay, because if the blood will not come to the heart, then how it will go out, right? So in order to make the blood flow into the heart, the heart squeezes itself. Okay, I have given one leak, you can find in the slide in the next thing. So you will find if the heart will squeezes in order to make the blood flow into the heart, that is called your diastolic pressure. So diastolic blood pressure is generally 80 mm per Hg, 80 mm Hg, okay, and systolic is 120, that is normal. But with ages, you will find the systolic blood pressure will increases due to the narrow down of the blood vessels. As I already discussed, you will find due to the habituated, due to the food consumption, all these things, you will find the blood vessels to get narrow down, and that will increase the pressure, and that pressure will increase the blood pressure, right? That is basically your systolic blood pressure due to the narrow down of the blood vessels. The systolic blood pressure in adult is gradually increases with ages, and that may reach up to 140 and 150, what is common in adult humans, or you can say aging humans, right? Okay. Now the next slide is that the cardiac muscle requires what in extracellular fluid. Okay, so the cardiac blood flow is pretty a bit different. What you need is calcium. Okay, and calcium is released from the cardiac endoplasmic reticulum, that is called your we can call it sarcoplasmic reticulum in the muscle, but here is also in the nucleus you will find there are endoplasmic reticulum that releases calcium, and that calcium is basically responsible for the cardiac muscle contraction and relaxation. If you will find the axon potential enters when the axon potential enters from the adjacent cells, because we all know cardiac cells are they can communicate with each other. They are efficiently communicate with each other via different gap junctions. Okay, so that is basically occurred by the voltage gated calcium channel as well. Okay, so the calcium is the molecule along with sodium. We will discuss in the later slide that calcium and sodium, we all know in the muscle sodium ions plays an important role in the depolarization, but along with the sodium ion, it is the calcium ion that is also present in the heart is playing a major role in the process of cardiac muscle contraction, and we'll find it out how. Okay, so so if you'll find this graph, which of the following the part of the not a part of the cardiac muscle. Okay, now see, in the cardiac muscles you will find all the channels are there. Now let me discuss how it is held. What happens in the normal muscle cells, the sodium ion do depolarizations. We all know, right, that we have already discussed several times, and make it count that sodium, all the positive ions, basically sodium ions and calcium ions, are responsible for depolarization. However, the monovalent potassium ion is responsible for repolarization. Okay, so if you'll find now how they play a major role in the cardiac muscle contraction or cardiac signaling, you'll find the influx of sodium ion. If you'll find here in this graph, if my cursor is visible to you guys, that is -80 to +30 even in the muscle cells. So this journey is basically a role that is occurred by your sodium and calcium ions, mainly sodium ions rather we can say. Okay, so influx of sodium ions make the internal conditions positive and external conditions negative, which is against the normal condition, and that is what called depolarization, and and that is what leads to the formation of R curve. Okay, you all should go and clarify regarding the QRST position of this curve. This is very much important, you will find in many examinations. Okay, so if you will find, it is the sodium ions and calcium ion, so mainly sodium ion, that is responsible for this depolarizations. Once it is depolarized, now it is the time to get repolarized. Okay, and that journey is basically decide the length of the signal, that for the how many time the stimulus is present, or for the how many time the stimulus is running. And we all know heart is 24/7 working organs. It's not like that we have got a stimulus, we need to get a reflex and we need to perform a function. It's 24/7. So what our system do in order to make it always active, this journey is pretty extended. But if you will find in skeletal muscle, it is just like this. The plateau is not for the long interval, but here in this you will find the plateau is narrowed down slowly, and that is why the cardiac muscles stimulus can last long. And for that purpose there are a role of two channels. One is potassium. We all know potassium is depolarized rapidly. Okay, but along with potassium ions there is one channel, that is influx of calcium and sodium ion. Okay, so this calcium and sodium ion channel is basically responsible for maintenance of this plateau, so that the it will last long, the stimulus will last for a time interval, and that is responsible for the slow contraction of myocardial muscles. And that's why only the heart can last long. It is not like skeletal muscle, I will lift up something and my muscles will go up. It's not like that, but it's need to squeeze for 24/7, and that's why the roles of which channels plays a major role here. The sodium and calcium ion channels plays a major role to maintain the plateau, so that this signal will last for long and the stimulus can last for a timing which is very much higher than the skeletal muscle, in order to perform the myocardial reflex actions or myocardial contraction and relaxation. Okay. Now the next question is that excess of what in extracellular fluid cause heart to become dilate and heart rate. Okay, see how we can relate this question to the previous question. Okay, in the previous question we see the sodium and calcium ion is responsible for depolarization and lasting it for long, right? We all know depolarization is done by cations, that is positive ions. Okay, that is basically sodium and calcium, mainly sodium. Okay, but calcium plays a major role in extension. But here you will find, and we all know the repolarization is occurred by your potassium ions. Now if you will find, if there is lots of potassium ions in the external environment, let's imagine, okay, there are lots of potassium ions, okay, in the extracellular fluid. Now if there is lots of potassium ions, okay, then the potassium will not get out of the cells. Once it will, like sodium comes inside, but potassium gradually get into outside in order to maintain, right? But if there is a huge amount of potassium ions, the osmolarity will get hampered. Okay, because now along with the concentration gradient, the flow of calcium will not occur, and for that reason the normal signaling will not, or the normal contraction and relaxation will not occur, and for that the heart rate will get dilated or slow, because heart rate is basically defined by the stimulus, and stimulus is basically defined by the regulation of ion channels. Ion channels means two channels, that is mainly sodium and potassium, as in skeletal muscles. Sodium ions depolarizes, potassium repolarization. Now if the potassium concentration is so much in the extracellular fluid, now it cannot repolarizes. Okay, it will take a long time in comparison to that. Okay, so the heart rate will again get slower. Okay, we need slow, but it should not be the slowest, right? It's not like that we need fastest heartbeat actually, but the thing is that if it will slow much slower, then also it will get infected, and this particular disease is called hyperkalemia. Mind this term, hyperkalemia, because of the more K for potassium, right? So more potassium concentration in the extracellular fluid, and that will cause dilate heart rate or slow heart rate. Okay, the next question is that the blocking of potassium channels. See, in the previous one more potassium concentration was there, and that is only blocking, right? That is only slowing down the potassium channel. But here we are considering the blocking of potassium channel. The same thing is there. In the previous one, due to more concentration in the extracellular fluid, the transitions of the potassium ion is getting hampered, right? Here you block. And the both thing is similar. In the initial condition, the osmolarity is not allowed us to perform the role of the potassium channels. Here we are blocking the channels. Both are similar. Only thing is that here you are blocking. They are due to the osmolar gradient, it is not able to perform its function. And that is equivalent to blocking, right? So the blockage of potassium channels will prolong the action potential duration, as I already told. So it will dilate the heart rate. Try to understand the concept. What plays what role, so that make yourself clear. Okay, I told 100 times that sodium ion is depolarizing and potassium is repolarizing. So if potassium osmolarity will get affected, it will not able to repolarize. If it will not repolarize, then it will not perform the fastest stimulus as it should proceed. And if the stimulus get delayed, the function get delayed, and that is what the action potential will get. This plateau, as you can see like this, right? This will again get extended. You can see from black to red. Okay, and if this duration will get extended, you will find the heart to get dilated, and it will form slow heart rate. Okay, it will result in the slow heart rate, or the stimulus will last for long. Okay, and if the stimulus will last for long, the rate of heart rate will slow, and it will for single stimulus. See, imagine for single stimulus, if it is act for seconds, then how your heart will for the contraction and relaxation it will take long time. Okay, so that is what the heart rate is. If for individual heart pumping it will take more time, then the ultimate heart rate will get affected, right? So this is all what it is. Okay, now diastole. What is diastole? As I told you, diastole is you will just squeeze the heart. You will find that the top of the portion, I have given this link. You will find the beautiful animations. Even you can find in Google, right? So diastole is basically the pressure that is responsible for squeeze all the blood into the atrium, into the ventricles, inside to the heart. Okay, lower chamber of the heart. Okay, so see. Whenever the vena cava that you can see in the blue, the vena cava is basically responsible for bringing the deoxygenated blood. We all know, right? So for that purpose, you will find all the bloods gathered in the atrium. Okay, right atrium. Now that blood from the right atrium needed to get passed into the right ventricles, and even in the purified blood that is come from the lungs will come to the left atrium. Okay, and that left atrium will again squeezes the blood into the left ventricles. So in order to squeeze the blood into the ventricles, it needs some pressure that is basically created by the heart, and that is called diastole. Okay, you can see this figure to get it clear, and I expect all of you are already cleared about this. Okay, because the simple thing is the systole is to exert pressure in order to make blood flow into the different part of the body. Diastole is the squeezing of the heart, or the pressure that the heart exerted itself in order to flow the blood into the ventricles. Okay. Now this is one question. This is pretty simple one, though it seems mathematical. In heart rate is 72 beats per minute, then what is the cardiac cycle duration? See, what a cardiac cycle is. Cardiac cycle is started from the arterial systole to the entire systole and diastoles to the entire blood flow. What is the journey of the blood in our heart? We are getting depurified blood or deoxygenated blood into the right atrium. From there it will travel to right ventricles. From there it will travel to lungs. From lungs it will get purified, oxygenated, and comes to left atrium, and from there it will come to the left ventricles, and from there By artery, it will supply to the entire body system. This is one journey, and within that journey there are several systoles, several diastole. Okay, and that particular timing to complete one cycle is called one cardiac cycle. And one cardiac, we all know the general average time for heartbeat is 72 times per minute. Okay, 72 times per minute, that means 72 times in 60 seconds. Okay, so to perform 72 beats it will take 60 seconds. To perform one beat it will take 60 by 72, that is 0.833 seconds. Okay, you can calculate like this. 72 beats, any calculation you can calculate like this. You will find this kind of question. You all are I know grown enough to understand this, but still I am just telling that for any kind of question you will find ki for this people do like this, then one word and how many words. That's this kind of question you can find it like for 72 beats it will take 60 minutes, sorry 60 seconds. So for one beat 60 by 72. For if you likes for 10 beats into 10, 70 by 60, 60 by 72 into 10. So in this way you can find this kind of calculation. Okay, so basically you can find it out 0.833. Okay, now the last two question is that, see, all the question in this section is to understand, it's not like to read. Okay, and you will find a bit tricky, or you can find like numbers are there, right? So the difference between action potential generation in cardiac and skeletal muscle, that in the onset of the action potential the permeability of DAX decreases 5-fold in DAX. Okay, देखो, see, I already told in cardiac muscles we need a longer stimulus time in compared to skeletal muscles, because skeletal muscle you find a stimulus, perform functions, that's it. In cardiac muscles we need to, because our heart is working 24/7, we need our stimulus to stay a bit longer than the skeletal muscle. Okay, now how it is staying long? Because of, we all know depolarization is occurring by sodium, repolarization by potassium. So the repolarization, if it will take some more time, if you want to dilate, I already discussed several times, it is the potassium ion that is the master molecules, master ions that regulates the repolarization, and it is the repolarization that is playing in the role to define the duration of stimulus, and it is the duration of stimulus that is plays a major role in the defining the heart rate. Clear? So it is the potassium channels, or it is the potassium ions that needed to decrease in order to lengthen the stimulus, right? Now this is what the thing is, because we all know that I have put one statement here, one major difference in the duration of the action potential in the typical nerve, in the action potential duration about 1 millisecond. Clear? So in the skeletal muscle the duration is 1 millisecond. However, the duration of cardiac or action potential regions is around 200 to 400 millisecond. Okay, so see, the in cardiac muscles it is so big. Okay, the duration is so more, because we don't want our heart to squeeze like this on that first. It is of no use, because you want to even supply oxygen, right? And for that the duration is bit more. Okay, and for the duration the stimulus length should more, and in order to perform the stimulus for longer, the potassium ion needed to stay for, or the repolarization period should be longer. Okay, as here you can see, this is what the phase 2, if my cursor is visible, this phase 2 is basically repolarization, and in order to prolong the repolarization, two channels, one is the potassium that needed to get slow, or the potassium ion permeability is to get decreased. How it can be decreased? It can be decreased by extracellular potassium concentration, it can be decreased by osmolarity, or it can be decreased by the channel itself that can regulate. Okay, so basically, and here you can see the osmolarities can be balanced by calcium ions, as I told, and calcium plays a very most important role in cardiac relaxation. Mind it, in normal skeletal muscle there is no role of calcium, because we need instant reactions. We have 1 millisecond time. We need to depolarize, we need to repolarize, we need to open the sodium channel, you need to open the potassium channel, that's it. But in heart you need the stimulus to stay for longer, and for that purpose you need the potassium ions to act slowly. In order to act potassium ion slowly, in order to maintain the osmolarity, calcium ion plays an important role, so that the repolarization period get longer and you will find a longer cardiac stimulus, so that it will work slowly and you will find the action potential duration will be more and our heart can work smoothly. Okay, as the cardiac output or the blood heart rate will increase a lot. That's what also we don't want, because it's a long-term procedure. It is a 24/7 active process in our body. Okay, so the question number 10 is that in cardiac muscle entry of what leads to the prolonged depolarization causing plateau in the action potential. Okay, so I have already discussed this concept, and if you'll find any doubt, just I'm repeating again for next 1-2 minutes. I'll not take more time, because I know it's not a working day for you guys, or you already have different classes. So you can find, I will just repeat again, that in heart what happen in normal condition, sodium and potassium is, that's it, sodium depolarizes, potassium repolarizes, that's it. But in cardiac muscles, sodium and calcium both plays an important role to depolarizes. Then sodium closed, if it is depolarized, sodium is closed. Now the role of potassium and calcium ion plays an important role, so that if calcium is getting released a bit slowly, then it will affect the osmolarity at that particular situation, because calcium is also bivalently positive ions, right? So it will change the gradient. See what is happening generally, sodium ion is getting inside, right? So if sodium is getting inside is positive, outside is negative. But what calcium do, calcium get into the outside. If calcium is getting into outside, if calcium is getting into inside, then the sodium is closed though, but calcium is also bivalently positive, right? So it is also depolarizing only. So in heart muscle, the depolarization exists for a longer period due to calcium. And similarly, the potassium perform its function as it is, but due to calcium ion, or due to calcium, what happen is the depolarization, after depolarization stops, the depolarization length get increased, though depolarization stops. During this plateau, you will find both calcium and potassium ion balance it out, so that it will not get instantly repolarized. Okay, that's why the repolarization duration get increased, and increased in a very higher fold, and that repolarization is responsible for the lengthier stimulus. And this is what the takeout point from this class about the cardiac circulation or cardiac muscle stimulation, how it is working. So sodium and calcium ion is basically leads to the prolonged depolarization causing plateau in the action potential. Okay, because potassium ion is also plays a major role, but potassium, not only potassium, it is sodium and calcium ion that leads to prolonged depolarization causing a plateau in the action potential. Okay, so sodium and calcium, how it works. Sodium, first they depolarize. Even if depolarization stops, the calcium ion exits out, it will continue for a longer period, and that will result in the existence of longer plateau. Okay, try to understand the concept. If you will find any doubt again from this section, we'll discuss in the next class. Just tell me. Okay, because this is one, see, you cannot get confused between the skeletal muscle stimulation and cardiac muscle stimulation. This is a very important segments, and you will find definitely 5 questions from this segment. So whatever questions you are finding from here and your assignments from this section, go try to find it out and try to clear it out. If you will not, just come to us, we can discuss again. But you need to get the concept clear. If you will not clear, you will not be able to answer, and if you will not be able to answer, you will not score good. And mind you all that you have to score above 50 to get certificates, not like you are just going to pass. Okay, you can pass from this assignment only, but you need to score above 50 to get a certificate. And there are, beyond the certificates, there are so many things, you need to get around there are different positions like gold medal, silver medal. Even if you are top the segment, then you will be noted as the topper of the paper. So it's like that. So that's the competition. Try to be the best in your paper. Okay, so that's it. Okay, thank you all for joining today, and you are always welcome to come forward for any doubt. Okay guys, so if you have any things you can just discuss, or thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next Friday, and we'll take class as we take regularly. Okay guys, then see you. Thank you.